Fine. Okay. So in the last session, what we did, we created primary ledger and we specified the ledger options. Nothing but primarily we given retained earnings account, and we created legal address. By using the legal address, we created legal entity. In the same legal entity, we assigned to our primary ledger. So within the primary ledger, the balance and segment values we assigned to legal entity, and we submitted the task called as review and submit accounting configuration, which complete primary ledger definition. Okay, we'll just before we just continue from there, we'll go and verify our ledger status. Okay, we'll go and verify our ledger status. We can move to the next step. So to go to our implementation project, what we have to do, once you log into the instance, you have to click on setup and maintenance, right? So we'll be landing in this page. Your right side you could see task list. Click on the task list and click on task called as manage implementation projects. This we did multiple times, right? Just click on overview to navigate to our project, which project is assigned to the current user. Now open the project. Okay, here you can search for the task called as manage primary ledgers, or directly you can search for primary ledgers. Okay, the same task is available from procurement as well as financials. We can click on task which is against financials. Click on go to task icon. So search for our primary ledger to verify the status of our primary ledger. Just use enter keyword from keyboard. Our primary ledger status is confirmed, nothing but completed. The same we verified in the last session also, right? Done. Now the next step is we have to assign. See, now just we completed setups. If you want to work on GL, journal creation and other concept, we have to assign GL roles to user. Assign GL roles to user. First we have to assign GL related seeded roles. So we have 5 roles for general ledger application. So the 5 roles will be assigned to the user. After that, for those roles we have to assign our primary ledger. So that we call as data access for users. So provide data access for users. After providing the data access for users, we have to run LDAP job. We'll discuss those points very detailed level. Okay, just I'm giving the list of activities which we are going to perform. After running the LDAP, what we do is we have to open GL period. We have to open the GL periods. Just to make sure that our ledger is working properly, we'll just go and create journal and we'll post it. That's all. Create journal and post it. So we are not going to start with the GL only for primary ledger definition. We are going through this GL related tasks. So as a part of our course curriculum, what we do is, so we'll start with the AP. First we'll complete AP. After AP, we'll complete P2P cycle. P2P cycle. After completing P2P cycle, we'll work on AR. After AR, we can see O2C cycle. After that, we can work on CM cash management, or say CE. After CE, we can go with FA. Then finally, we'll come back to GL. And after completing AP or after completing GL at any point of time, we can just work on Fusion tax. It's nothing but EBT, and we'll work on application called as Fusion expense as per EBT, that is I expense. So this is a sequence we are going to follow. Okay, so this is a sequence we are going to follow. The modules, this is a sequence. First we'll complete AP, then P2P cycle, and AR O2C cycle. Let's say P2P cycle, I will be covering the basic configuration, inventory purchasing as a part of O2C OM configuration. Then after completing the cycles, we'll work on cash management. Then finally we'll go to FA, and we'll come back to GL to work on all the concepts, like whatever the concepts we have in GL side. Okay. In between or after completing all, we'll work on this Fusion tax and Fusion expense. So as of now, just we are going to test our primer ledger, how it is going to work by creating the journal. That's all. After creating the journal, we can go with the enterprise structure definition, and we can start with the payables configuration. So this is what we are going to see, the complete configuration process. Any questions here, please? Okay, just I'm keeping that information here. The same sheet I'll be uploading after today's session. Fine. The first point here is we have to assign the GL roles. When you talk about roles in Fusion applications, the roles simply you can classify setup related roles as well as, okay, employee related user specific roles. So if you want to create any transactions within the GL or AP or AR, for each application we have a separate roles which will support the transaction process. Now those roles we have to assign to user. For GL we have a 5 roles. 5 roles we have. Okay, for general ledger application we have 5 roles. What we call those 5 roles? Job roles. We have 5 job roles. The 5 job roles we have to assign to our user. After assigning the roles, the user cannot perform any transaction just because of roles. You know, in EBS, if you just assign the responsibility to user, the user cannot create any transaction by using the responsibility. Based on the responsibility, if it is GL responsibility, you have to assign the primary ledger to the responsibility so that user can create the transaction, say journals within that responsibility. If the responsibility is related to subledger applications, we have to assign the operating unit to those responsibilities so that user can record the transactions for specific OU. In the same way here, based on the role, which role we are assigned to the user, we have to assign primary ledger or business unit to specific role. Now we are talking about GL only. So we have to assign 5 GL roles to user. For those 5 GL roles, we have to assign our primary ledger. It's nothing but data access for users. Here data access is nothing but primary ledger when I talk about GL. Okay, data access for user. What are the roles we are assigning to user? To those roles we will give the data access. That means we assign our primary ledger to those roles. You can take that point as assign primary ledger to GL roles. To perform this activity in the system, we have task called as data access for users. Okay, data access for users. So this is the task we have. So after assigning these roles, we have to run the LDAP job. We'll talk about this more detail level. First we'll go and complete these 2 activities. Okay, first we have to assign the GL roles to user. So we completed all these setups. Now the next task is assign GL roles to user. In which role, which privileges we have, that will I'll take you through the process detail level. As of now, just let's try to understand which roles we have for general ledger application. To assign the roles to user, we have to go to security console. So we know the navigation and all, right? Save navigation. How to navigate to security console? We have to go to navigator. Under tools, you can find the task called as security console. Just click on security console. Okay, go to users tab, select users tab and search for the user. The username is ERP3. Click on search and click on user login and click on edit. Here we can see the three roles as assigned to this user. These three roles are related to implementation related roles. To do the implementation, to do the application configuration, to have access to security console, these roles are required. So now we have to assign roles to this user which allows this user to have access to GL application related functionality. To assign the role to this user, click on add role. Just click on add role. The roles are, say, general accountant. So here you could see general accountant. This role is job role. One of the job role name is general accountant. This is seeded role for general ledger application. So we discussed in our previous classes few points related to roles. I think in the very beginning classes. So we discussed RBAC concept, role based access control, right? Yes. So here we discussed we have a different type of roles, right? Job roles, duty roles, data roles. And we discussed one point, the data roles concept we don't have from release 12 onwards. 12 or 13 we don't have data roles concept. Now we are working on release 13. Okay. So what do you mean by data role? That points also we discussed. Data role is nothing but combination of job role and primary ledger or job role and business unit. Now by just looking at this point, could you see here any data roles? Anyone can see data roles here? Can you see any data roles in this pop-up?
The general accountant with the primary ledger.
Exactly. Okay, already we discussed job role with any primary ledger or business unit we call as data role. But this is the current version instance which we are using is release 13. So already we discussed one point. So data roles concept is applicable only up to release 11. Okay, from 11 only data roles concept we have. From 12 we don't have. In 12 or 13 versions we don't have any data roles concept. But still you can see data roles here. These we call as data roles. General accountant, Australia primary ledger, general accountant, Belgium primary ledger. These combinations only we call as data roles. How we have these data roles? What happens is the instance which you are using that is migrated from 11 to 12 and 12 to 13. So this is again Visual instance. So in this environment, so when they created these primary ledgers and all in the previous versions, the data roles are generated. Since they upgraded, so what are the existing definitions as a data roles we have, all are just moved to the latest version. That's it. So whatever the ledger you create, system is not going to create. These all are coming here because this environment is upgraded from older version to latest version. You cannot find any data role with a like general accountant, Google USA primary ledger. You cannot find. Even you search, you don't find because these all are coming okay from the previous version because of upgrade activity. Just notice that point. You cannot find any data role with our primary ledger. Okay, so assign, select general accountant role And if you see that general accountant role, this is a job role which is related to GL. So general accountant. We have the role, and with the two different codes. Okay, the code here is GL general accountant job. Here before GL general accountant role, the prefix is ORA. So what Oracle is doing, what are the seeded roles Oracle is providing? They are providing with the two different codes. But when we create, we can create the custom roles also. At the time of custom role definition, only you can give one code. Since these are system generated seeded roles, they are giving with the two different codes. So two roles has same functionality, same privileges. You don't see any difference between these two roles when it comes to privileges, access. So you can assign any one of the role to our user. Okay, it won't makes any difference. So just look at the name as general accountant and you can assign anyone. Now I'm going to assign the second one, which is starting with the GL, but here before GL the prefix is ORA. But any one of the role you can assign. Two roles will have the same privileges. As a part of seeded role definition, they given the one role with the two different codes. That's it. Okay, I'm selecting this role, general accountant. GL code name is GL general accountant job. If not this, you can assign this. How to assign this role to user? So select this role, click on add role membership. Nothing but assign this role to user. Just click on this. So assigned, you could see in the background. If you scroll little down in the background, you could see along with those three roles which we assigned earlier, general accountant role also assigned to our user. Fine. We'll assign remaining four roles. Total we have five roles for general ledger application. So other role is general accounting manager. So going forward, we'll just open this each and every role and we'll see which role has which functionality access. Okay, that also will be testing. For now, just make a note which roles we have for general ledger application. So role is general accounting manager. For this also you could see two, and I'm selecting first one, general accounting manager. Code is GL general accounting manager job. So select assign to user. Click on add role membership. Say okay. Okay, the next role. We have other role called as Chief Financial Officer. Okay. Chief Financial Officer CFO. Select the role. And for this they're given only one. So select. Anyway, we need one. There could be two or three or doesn't matter. We have to assign one to our user. So Chief Financial Officer, this is the code which you could see that you can select and you can assign to user. Done.
Lakshman,
Yep.
for the general accountant role, we selected the general accountant with primary ledger, but for the general accounting manager or the other
No,
one,
no,
we did
no.
not require.
We didn't select. We didn't select. You see here the background. We didn't select. Those comes under data roles. The data roles concept is not applicable in the Fusion. Even if you select no use, those are coming from previous versions. This environment is upgraded. If you notice, I'm just closing this window. You see here whatever you selected. Do you see primary ledger? Just role only. General account.
Oh, sorry, I thought you selected primary ledger.
General accounting
I
manager,
missed it. Okay.
financial officer. Okay. If it is a release 11 environment, you can select. This is 13. Even in case of 12 also, we should not select. Even if you select no use. Okay. But when you are working on the fresh environment, you don't see those things. Since this is a vision, that too, upgraded environment, you could see those definitions. When you are working on the fresh instance, you see these names only. You don't see these names with some ledger combination, even you have your primary ledger in the system. Okay. Fine. So we assign three roles and we have two more roles related to GL to assign to this user. Okay, click on add role. Just click on add role. Sorry, there was some network issue. Okay, I just switched to different network. Sorry. Fine. So we assign three roles only, right? Out of five, we assign three: general accountant, general accounting manager, and a CFO, chief financial officer. So to assign two more roles, just click on add role. The other roles are say controller. So role is controller. Select here, then say assign. And one more role we have called as financial analyst. Okay, we have a role called as financial analyst. Select role called as financial analyst. Select and say assign. Okay, so these are the five roles we assign to our user. So just I'll make a note here, since I'll be sharing this sheet with everyone. You can just have this information for reference. So which roles we assigned? These five roles we assign. I'll take these points here.
Lakshman, one question. The five roles, are they like mandatory roles? Even for a given work, one role will suffice, right? Like say supposing that person is
No,
a
no, one second,
accounting manager.
It depends. First of all, we have to understand which role has which privileges. Then we can decide, okay, based on the given work for specific user, which role we have to assign. As introduction, I am just taking you through. These are the five roles we have. Going forward, we'll see in each and every role which privileges we have. I'll take you through the process how to verify, so that you can understand. You can understand which role you have to assign to the.
Okay.
So why we are assigning these five roles? These five roles will give the full privileges to GL functionality. Okay, fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So the five roles are general accountant, general accounting manager, controller, chief financial officer, and financial analyst. These are the five seeded roles we have for general ledger application. We assigned. So we assign those five roles to user. Now, if you want to have access to the application to create the transactions as general accountant or any role, so we have to create the transactions in which primary ledger, that we have to specify. So for these five roles, we have to assign our primary ledger. So assign primary ledger to GL roles. We have to assign our primary ledger to these five roles. So you tell me, in case of EBS, say we have GL responsibility, and for GL responsibility we assign our primary ledger by using GL ledger name profile option. Okay, by using GL ledger name profile option, we assign our primary ledger to GL responsibility. So after assigning our primary ledger to GL responsibility, what system will do immediately? Anyone please? Automatically system will perform on activity. What is that? Anyone?
It sets the org.
Sorry?
It sets the org.
Org? No, so ledger point of view, there is no point of org. When you talk about operating unit, org ID will come into picture. And in case of inventory,
I think
the question is when you assign the primary ledger to GL responsibility by using GL ledger name profile option. When you do this activity, what system will do automatically?
I think it will assign data access.
Exactly, that is the point.
Data access.
Yes, yes, yes. When you do this activity immediately, system will assign. Okay. So we know like the moment you create the primary ledger, automatically system will create the data access set with the same name with the full privileges. Then automatically system will assign data access set to our responsibility by using GL data access set profile option. This happens. Okay, in EBS, when you create, first point is when you create primary ledger, automatically system will create data access set. So data access set it will create with the same primary ledger name with full privileges, read and write privileges for all the balance and segment values. The same happens in the Fusion also. If you want to verify, we'll go and verify. So we know which primary ledger we created. Here we stopped after assigning the roles. Okay, we assigned 5 roles to our user. Now you can say save and close. Okay, just we completed this task. I'm just marking as a done. Now the point is in EBS when you create the primary ledger, system creates data access set. The same happens in Fusion also. We created our primary ledger, right? Whether system created data access set with the same name or not, we'll go and verify. Go to our implementation project. Manage implementation projects. Just click on overview. Open our project. We'll go and verify with the ledger name system created data access set or not. Search for task called as data access set. Okay, just click on manage data access sets. Okay, task name is manage data access sets. Click on go to task icon. We are not in the ledger form, we are in the data access set form page. So now search for your data access set which we did not create. Search with our primary ledger name, you can see Google. Okay, Google USA primary ledger. This is our ledger name. The same ledger name system created data access set. If you just open, you can see how it is created. Click on edit. How it is created with full ledger access for all the balance and segment values, read and write privileges. Okay, so same as EBS, system created data access set here also. Now you tell me in EBS if you do this activity, system will perform this activity. In terms of precedence, okay, precedence like for system will this responsibility will have access to primary ledger or data access. Which one it will take high priority?
Data access set.
Data access set. Okay, data access set only system will give high priority. System first it will verify which data access set we have. So that data access set only can be accessed by that responsibility. Say here you are assigning primary ledger 1. Here data access set also with the primary ledger 1 only it will assign. Otherwise you may create some custom data access set as a data access set 1 that you can assign. That may be different from your primary ledger. Now this responsibility can have access to this data access only, not to our primary ledger. So system will give high precedence to data access. The priority it will give to data access set. Now in the fusion, okay, this is true. The same logic is applicable here. So instead of assigning the primary ledger to these 5 roles, okay, instead of assigning the primary ledger to these roles, what we do is directly we assign data access set only to these 5 roles. We no need to assign the ledger to these roles. Against the ledger, system creates data access set automatically with our ledger name. So whatever the data access set system created with our ledger name, that data access set we have to assign to these 5 roles. This is the point we have to understand. Okay. Provide data access for users, nothing but assigning primary ledger to GL roles. Here reality, we are not assigning the primary ledger to those GL roles. With the primary ledger name, whatever the data access set system created, that data access set we are going to assign to GL roles. This is the point we have to understand. But as a generic definition or statement, always we say we assign primary ledger to GL roles, but reality, with the primary ledger name, whatever the data access set is created, that data access set only we can assign to this GL roles. This is the point we have to understand. Okay, we assign 5 roles to user. Any question?
Yeah. So in case we have multiple ledgers, how does this work?
For each ledger, system will create separate data access set. Right? So if you have 10 ledgers, system will create 10 data access set. Instead of assigning the ledger, assign data access set which is available with your ledger name. That's it.
So if we want to give one responsibility access to multiple primary ledger, we assign more than one data access set, right? Because each data access set will have one primary ledger only.
Yes. Each primary, see, we assign data access set to responsibility when you talk about EBS, so that that responsibility can have access to that data access set. If you want to give the access to, you can mute from your end. I can hear myself. Fine. So if you want to give access to multiple ledgers in EBS, what we do? You can answer to this question, please. If you want to give access to multiple ledgers,
yeah, we use profile option to assign
what profile?
Multiple ledgers.
No, we use ledger set concept. Okay, we create ledger set and we'll group the ledgers, and that we can assign. Or else with the data access set also you can group the ledgers and you can assign that to responsibility. Same logic is applicable in the fusion also. Here also you have ledger set concept. If not ledger set, by using the data access set also you can group multiple ledgers into that you can assign to role in the fusion. EBS responsibility, here role. Okay, so the same like EBS concept only here we have. In case of EBS, we assign primary ledger as a mandatory, then automatically system will assign data access set to the same responsibility by using the GL ledger name, GL data access set profile option. But here, you no need to assign the primary ledger to any one of these roles. Just you have to assign the data access set to these roles. That is a point we have to understand. Any question here, please? Okay, so now we have our primary ledger. With the same primary ledger name, we have data access set. That data access set we are going to assign to these 5 roles. So the task name is data access for users. Okay, task name is data access. Just I'm saying provide data access for users. Provide data access for users. The actual task name is data access for users. With this task, you can perform this activity. Assign primary ledger to GL roles. This primary ledger is nothing but the primary ledger which is created as a data access set. That's it. We'll go and perform this activity. Okay, now let's call it as primary ledger only. Reality, that is a data access set, but general usage we just always says primary ledger only. say assign primary ledger to GL roles. To assign the primary ledger to GL roles, we have to use this task, data access for users. Go to our implementation project, search for the task called as data access for users. Click on search. Okay, here is the task. Task name is manage data access for users. Task name is manage data access for users. Just click on this task. Okay, and click on go to task icon. Task name is manage data access for users. Just click on go to task icon. Now click on create. Now select user. You can type the user or you can select from LOB directly. You can type here and tab out, it will fetch. It's selected, username is selected. Now click on LOB of this role. How many roles are already assigned to this user? Only those roles you can see. So we assigned how many roles total? 8 roles. As a part of implementation configuration, we assign 3 roles: application implementation consultant, IT security manager, and employee. To work on GL process, we assigned 5 roles. The total 8 roles you can see here. Just click on LOB. So the 8 roles you can see. Now just we have to give the data access only for GL related roles. We don't need to assign ledger to application implementation consultant or employee or IT security manager. So in EBS also we don't assign any primary ledger or operating unit to system administrator responsibility, right? Those just for configuration purpose, not to record the transactions. Same logic is applicable here. So you just select one by one GL role and we'll go and assign our primary ledger to these roles. So in EBS, assign the primary ledger to responsibility, we use profile option, but here we no need to use profile option. We'll see how to assign. So I'm selecting the first role called as Chief Financial Officer. Select it. Security contest. Okay, security contest is what you want to assign. In case of EBS, profile option, GL ledger name will give, will assign the ledger name. The same way here, what we want to assign, data access set. Select data access set. Even you have a ledger value, don't select it. It is not applicable for all the roles also. It won't be available for specific roles. So always select data access set. You have to select data access set only. Now here you can find our ledger name. Nothing but the data access set which is created against our ledger. What is our ledger name? Google USA primary ledger. Search for just Google. Okay, Google USA primary ledger. Select it. Done. We assigned our primary ledger to this role. Already the role is associated with this user. Reality, this is not primary ledger. This is a data access set which is created against our primary ledger. Always we assign data access set only to any role by using the security contest. The security contest is data access set. It is equal to profile option, but we have a profile option concept also, that also we'll see. But here just to understand this point, this would be equal, this security contest only will be connecting this security contest value with a specific role. So this value we are assigning to this role with the help of security contest. It is similar to security profile if you compare with EBS. In EBS also, the primary ledger will assign to responsibility by using the profile option. This would be similar to profile option for assignment. Okay, this is what we have to understand. So we have four more roles also to assign our primary ledger. So you can click on add and one more row system will open, you can assign, or else Just after assigning primary ledger to specific role, you can click on save and close. This is a one by one you can assign, or else all you can assign at a time, okay, by clicking on additional rows. Okay, one we assigned, then click on create and provide your username. Here Petri, select value or just tab out, it will fetch. And already for this role we assigned our primary ledger. The next role is, these roles are job roles, just job roles. Select controller, and security contest is what we want to assign, data access set. Data access set. And security contest value is our ledger name, Google USA primary ledger. And if you want to assign to other roles also, from here itself, click on add row. Here Petri, role is, so we're done with these two roles. The third role is financial analyst. Security contest is C, data access set. Only data access we have. If you are trying with the primary ledger security contest, for these kind of roles it is not applicable. So that is the reason, always use data access set. Okay, Google USA primary ledger. Just click on add, or else you can go with the duplicate also. Here Petri, select role. Say role is general accountant. Security contest is data access set. See here also you don't have any security contest value as a ledger, only data access set. So security contest values are ledger name. Okay, Google USA primary ledger. Now you can click on add, or else you can click on duplicate, so that this record will get duplicated and you can specify the role and other information. Let's see how to duplicate. Just click on duplicate, the same row will be duplicated, and the user is same. You can change the role name to general accounting manager. Select security contest as data access set. Contest value is Google USA primary ledger. So this is how we have to assign our primary ledger to GL related roles which are associated with a specific user. So already one role already we assigned. Now we are assigning to remaining 4 roles. Click on save and close. So any questions here, please?
Lakshman, in R12, we used to use Shift F5 no, to copy from the previous record.
Here,
Is there such a...
Those are not applicable since these are the web pages. Those are forms, right? In the forms, as kind of functionality they can build. Since those are flexible. But here there are some limitations and all, so not applicable. Okay, so that is the reason they given the copy function, so you can duplicate. If not copy, like in case of EBS, what you do, shift F6, above record will be copied into below empty record. So that's how. Or else specific field data, this data you want to copy into this field, you can use shift F5. That is possible in the forms. These are ADF pages, so those functions doesn't work. Fine. Say save and close. We assigned 5 roles, 5 primary ledger to 5 roles. The same you can verify from here. So manage data access for users. Users without data access, users with data access. I'm selecting users with data access. So which users you want to verify? ERP3. You can search for ERP3 and click on search. Now you could see, so this for this user, okay, with data access, this user has access to which data. So only for 5 roles only the user has access to this data access set. Those you can see. Okay, this is all just you can verify specific user has access to which data, which ledger. If this user has access to AP and AR related roles, for which business units that user has access, that also you can verify. This is all just you can check it. So this user, these 5 roles are assigned. For 5 roles we assign the ledger name. That's it. So just you can verify. If you want to see users without data access, you can select this. The username is ERP3. If this ERP3 user has some roles without assigning any data access, nothing but ledger. So those roles you could see here. Basically the 3 roles system should display here, because 3 roles we didn't assign any data access. It's not fetching, no issues. Okay, so this is how we can assign the primary ledger to GL related roles. Any questions here, please?
Lakshman, I have a question. So, like in EBS, we had a concept like we can set up our data access set, and we can assign multiple ledgers in that data access set.
We can do here also. That will be doing as a part of GL. Okay, same as EBS, you can create the data access. The same point I explained also. Like you can create the ledger set to group the ledgers, or else you can create the data access set to group the multiple ledgers into that, so that you can provision the access to specific user. Possible. What you can do in EBS, same you can do in Fusion also with respect to data access set.
So we will cover that later on,
Yes,
right?
yes, we'll be covering.
My question was if we're going to cover it now or later.
I just request you can go through the course curriculum. In the course curriculum I mentioned very clearly. And other point here I given the just information. What is the sequence we are going to, I think here I didn't give it. So now see what we are going to do here is we are going to follow the sequence. We are not going to start working on GL first. Okay, just the common definition. Primary ledger is required. That is the reason we are creating the primary ledger. So as a part of sequence of this course, so first we will complete AP, then P2P cycle, then AR, O2C cycle, CM and FA. Then finally we'll just go through all the concepts in GL. When we work on GL, I'll take you through all the concept. SR, CVR, data access set, and revaluation, translation, consolidation, budgets, reports, etc. Whatever. I just mentioned everything in the course content that you can go through it, so you can get to know what we are going to cover from which module. But to understand the sequence, this is the sequence we are going to follow. After completing all these, or in between, we can work on Fusion tax and do Fusion expense. Fusion tax is nothing but as per EBS, EBT. Fusion expense is nothing but I expense. Okay. So any questions, please? Fine, done. So we assign the roles. For the same roles we assigned our primary ledger. The next task is run LDAP job. So so LDAP means here what is the purpose? So what happens is, so user we have, for user we are assigning the roles. For the roles we assigned, say primary ledger. If not primary ledger, business unit. If not business unit, inventory organization. Okay, so depending on which application related roles, you can assign the specific data definitions. It could be you may assign the primary ledger to specific user roles, or business unit to specific roles, or inventory organization to specific role. So after creating user, we assign the roles to that user and we assign these primary ledger, business unit or inventory organization to that role. So what happens is this definition for which user, which roles we have, for which roles, which primary ledger or business unit or inventory organization is assigned, those need to be updated in directory services. Okay, that already we discussed as a part of middleware, I mean components. Uh, what we could say, like it's a enterprise fusion architecture. So there just we discussed few points as a part of middleware. We have these components: middleware, IDM, OIM, APM, BPM, UCM, SOA, BPL, and LDAP. So we have LDAP, lightweight directory access protocol. LDAP stands for, L stands for lightweight, D stands for directory, A stands for access, P stands for protocol. Lightweight directory access protocol. Just you may make a note. It may not be possible to write everything in the spreadsheet. Okay. So lightweight directory access protocol. It's one of the directory service in middleware. What happens is whenever you do this kind of activity, role assignment to user and this primary ledger or business unit or inventory organization assignment to roles, so this total information need to be updated in the LDAP. Okay, this total information. Okay, this total information need to be updated in the LDAP directories. The user related roles, for which role which primary ledger or BU or inventory organization is assigned, this total information need to be updated in the LDAP directories. So if that information is updated in the LDAP directories, then only that user can have access to this primary ledger, business unit and inventory organization through those roles. In case of EBS, what happens? We create user, we assign the responsibility to user, or before that you may assign primary ledger or operating unit to that responsibility. Just immediately you can log into the application, that user can see those responsibilities as assigned and they can start working on that. So they are direct access. But here the users and user related roles and role to the specific role, whatever the primary ledger, BU and inventory organization we are assigning, all should get updated in the LDAP directories also. In the middleware also those has to be updated. So one point is whenever we assign, those will get updated in the application, and the same definition, same update should get submitted to LDAP directories. When this user will access to the application, the user directly cannot have access to these roles under primary ledger. As a system process, what happens is the user will connect to LDAP. Okay, through LDAP only the user will get connected to roles under particular primary ledger or business unit. So that is the reason. So user will be provisioned access to roles under primary ledger or business unit through LDAP only. System will verify the user whatever has access, those are updated in the LDAP directories or not. If that user related assignments are updated in the LDAP directory, then only that will start functioning in the system process. So that means whatever you assign to the user, those can be roles, or you may assign primary ledger or business unit to the roles. Those everything need to be updated in the LDAP. Then only that user can have access to those assignments. This is a point we have to understand. So this process Oracle automated. That means this information need to be updated in the LDAP directory. Simply you can say this information should get synchronized with LDAP. Okay, with LDAP directories. The synchronization, the update system takes automatically. So whenever you assign any role with the user, for which user which roles are updated, assigned, automatically that would get updated in the LDAP directories. So if you assign any primary ledger or business unit to any role, that information also will get updated in the application automatically. Okay, the automatic synchronization we have in the application. But still, what Oracle recommends, go and submit that LDAP job. Okay, to submit this update to LDAP, we have a LDAP job. Okay, in EBS program only we are calling as job here, or else say request. In EBS we are calling as request. The same request we call as job. In EBS we have a request and request set. Here we have a job and job set. So we have to submit one request called as LDAP request. Instead of request in Fusion we are calling as job, so we are calling as LDAP job. So these changes will get updated, will get synchronized with LDAP directories automatically. But still what Oracle recommends is we have to run LDAP job. Why Oracle is recommending to run LDAP job? So this auto synchronization, sometimes it may take more time to see the updates immediately, to allow this user to have immediate access to these roles and this primary ledger or business unit. So we have to run the LDAP job. Whenever you run this LDAP job, which is not synchronized within the LDAP directories, based on this information that would get submitted to LDAP directory, so that this user immediately can have access to these roles and primary ledger or business unit, whatever assigned to these roles. So this is the point we have to understand. Whenever you assign the roles or primary ledger or operating unit to specific roles, so we have to submit LDAP job. LDAP job will synchronize that user and user related permissions which user gets through roles to LDAP directories. Every definition, user definition or role information or role related access to specific primary ledger and all the time it has to be updated in the LDAP. If it is not updated in the LDAP, user cannot have access. So for that reason, Oracle is recommending to submit that job through manual process, but within the system there is automation. Automatically that would get synchronized. Sometimes it may take some time. Instead of waiting for that, we can go and submit. We'll go and submit it. After that, if you have any questions, we'll discuss. After submitting this, we'll discuss. Okay, if you want to submit the LDAP job, LDAP, we don't call it as LDAP, just call it as LDAP. Okay, to submit the LDAP job, you have to follow this navigation. Go to navigator, click on this navigator icon. So under tools, under tools, we have one task called as scheduled processes. Okay, scheduled processes. Click on scheduled processes. Okay, this page, whatever the page you see here, this page we call as ESS job page. Here ESS stands for Enterprise Scheduler Service. ESS job page. This is equal to EBS SRS window. SRS stands for Standard Request Submission, right? From where we can submit the reports or programs. So in EBS we are calling as SRS window, nothing but Standard Request Submission window. So equal to that, in the Fusion we have ESS job page, Enterprise Scheduler Service job page. From here only you can submit any job or any program related or report related jobs. How to submit the LDAP job? Just click on schedule new process. Click on schedule new process. Now here you could see job or job set. In EBS you can see this as request or request set. The same naming convention they changed. Now which job you want to submit? LDAP job. Here type LDAP. Just tab out. Use tab. What are the jobs available with LDAP? Those it will display. Just no issues. You can click on search. Basically it has to fetch by default. Fine. So here, this is a job you have to submit. Retrieve latest LDAP changes. Okay, what are the changes are updated in the LDAP? Those has to be retrieved. So select it. You can see the purpose of this job also. It provides description. So select this job and say OK. Now you could see why we are running this job. So this job synchronizes users, user related roles and role related grants with definition of LDAP, lightweight directory access protocol, directory services. So these all role related users information, user related roles to roles which grants permissions you given to have access to primary ledger or business unit, all will get updated in the LDAP directories. So in Fusion, whatever the program job you run, that could be some process related or report, you can find the description. Even if you run the report also, it shows the description. What is the purpose of the report? You can see. Anyway, we'll see. We'll go through that information also going forward. So now we are submitting this job. So select this job and say OK. So you don't see any parameter. This job will be running at entire instance level. Click on submit. Within the same instance, if some other user created user and assigned role and they assigned primary ledger, so they no need to submit again. We are submitting, this would be enough. It will take all the updates. Click on refresh to see the status of the job. Retrieve latest LDAP changes, the status is running. So finally this will be ending with a succeeded status. Normally you don't come across any issues with this job. So it takes some time. It may take a couple of minutes time. It will get updated finally status as a. So now it's running. Later next status would be completed. The final status would be succeeded. So this job would be running entire instance level. So say at a time 5 different people created different users and they assign the roles. Any one of the person can submit this retrieve latest LDAP changes that would reflect all the changes in the LDAP directory. So this is what we have to understand. You no need to schedule it. The reason we won't be creating the job this role assignment all the time. Only at the time of implementation we do it as a part of ongoing activity. If any point after time require, we'll do it. Anyway, automatic synchronization is available in the application, or else if you want to run, you can submit it. You don't need to schedule it. Okay, how to schedule the other reports, etc. We'll see that. So, but this we no need to schedule. Generally, we never do this for this kind of jobs. So this is how we have to submit the LDAP job. Any questions from anyone, please?
Lakshman, if I'm submitting the LDAP, I've completed my creation of user, I've assigned the roles, I'm submitting my LDAP, okay? At that time, some other person is creating some other his user and is in the process of assigning the roles, and I gave the run. It will affect that particular user?
For all the users, this is applicable.
Hello?
We will be running at entire instance level.
No, he is not completed. He is in the process of assigning the role. He has just assigned 2 roles in.
Yeah, so in that case, what we will do is the moment you submit, there will be some time, right? Specific time. Till the time, whatever the process is completed from other users, up to that only user. That other person created just user. In that case, only user information will get updated. You submitted this process, so it will look at the timestamp. Okay, cutoff. Okay, it will have some cutoff time. Okay, up to that time only, whenever you are submitting, it will take the changes. So after submitting this, the user is doing some other activities. Those cannot be considered. Those can be taken into next month.
Okay. Thank you.
So any questions here, please?
Lakshman, 2 questions. One is LDAP is the result of LDAP metadata information in the form of directory and file structure?
See, See, it's not like kind of metadata and all. It's all about these changes, role assignment to user and primary ledger assignment to roles. This information will get updated in those directory services because the security and all will be maintained through LDAP directory services. The security directory also will be having within that.
So when you say directory services, when I make a comparison in like in R12, basically you'll have something like a server, and there will be file system directories and file system.
Simple point. In EBS, we create user that will be stored in the FND tables. We create responsibility that would be stored in the FND, the responsibility tables. We assign responsibility to user that also will be stored in the table. So that would be enough. Again, that information no need to be updated in the some different directory services or different other tables. And here that is required. So along with this, user will be stored in specific table, and roles assignment will be stored in specific table, and the primary ledger assignment to specific role will be stored in the specific table. Apart from this total information again it should be stored in directory services, which is the additional activity. To complete that additional activity of this information synchronization, we are running the LDAP. Okay, that's all. Just we are updating this information.
Okay, so is that directory service? I know you said other. Correct. You told that the directory services application accesses to users. So will the DBA at cloud have access to all those directories?
No. Like DBA means it's Oracle DBA can have access. Okay, in case of cloud, we cannot have our DBA in our team. In case of cloud, just the DBA part will be managed by Oracle only. So they will be having access to entire.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So the second and last question is, you told that the automatic process will automatically update, right? Say a question arises, how often or how quickly, like within 48 hours, within 24 hours, how it will be uploaded automatically?
No, that is just it won't run as a job also. That is they just programmed it. So it won't take more than 5 minutes time. Normally default schedule they'll do as a 5 minutes. Okay, but you don't see it would be running on the some this ESS job page and all. It would be running that in the beyond the screens and all. So you can expect the changes will happen within 5 minutes. That is ideal time. So sometimes it may take more than that if there are many requests on the queue, right? When you submit the multiple requests, all requests go to this ESS like enterprise scheduler service into queue. It goes, and one after one system has to execute. I'm not talking about only this request. There are many requests user will be submitting. So all should go in this queue only. One after other, it will be executed. So because of that reason, it may take some time where your request will just reach that the position of execution. So that is the reason Oracle is recommending better when you do some changes, simply you can go and hit this retrieve latest LDAP changes, so that as soon as possible this request or this job will get executed, so that you can see the expected changes immediately.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's it. So any other questions here, please? So basically we no need to do anything with this, just only the point is you no need to run also. It's not mandatory to run. It's a recommendation from Oracle. Otherwise you assign primary ledger, you will say you are going to log into the instance. You may not find your primary ledger from that user, even that role related functionality available. If you click on LOV, you may not see the primary ledger name. So in that scenarios, it will become issue. Instead of getting into that kind of experience, okay, better you can, whenever you assign anything to user or anything to role, better you can go and run this LDAP job, so that will synchronize complete information. You won't be facing any issues. Okay, done. Now here you could see that job name as succeeded. Okay, so this is how you can do. So if you want to see, for example, you submitted some job, not this job, won't have any issues. Normally it will run smooth. So if you run any job anytime and any report, anything, if you want to just view the output and all, you can select the same job. Say this is a report, you can select like this, and you can scroll down. Here you can find the output files, etc., log files and output files. Now it is ended, the status of succeeded. You no need to go and verify. So this is how it works. So done. So that's all about LDAP job. So we assign 5 roles to user. For the 5 roles we assign data access set or say primary ledger, and we submitted LDAP job. Now we can, okay, we have to open the GL periods. So the 5 roles we assign to the current user only, right? Now because of those 5 roles, system will be adding some additional tasks into navigator. You can click on the navigator. Your system will be adding general accounting. Seems to it is not updated. What we'll do is we'll just sign out and sign in, then the changes will reflect. Okay. Our username is ERP3. Fine. Now you can go to navigator. So within the navigator, you can see the section called as general accounting. This is getting added into this navigator because of those 5 roles. So those roles only adding this general accounting dashboard, journals and period close. Okay, so when we are working on GL, we'll go through all this very detailed level. We'll be working on the relevant functions. For now, the next task is just we want to make sure that our ledger is working fine by passing the journal. So for that reason, what we have to do is we have to open the GL period. Okay, to open the GL period, navigation is just go to navigator, and you can find this general accounting section because of the 5 roles which we assigned to this user. So under that we have one task called as period close. Okay, one task called as period close. Click on period close to open the period. The same task we can use to open or close the periods. Okay, so just click on period close task. So select your data access. So ideally you don't get access to all these data accesses. What are the data access set we assign to our user, that only you can have access. But we assign 5 roles. Within the 5 roles, in one role we have a privileges called as access, allow user to access all the data access set. That is the reason we are able to see all this. When we are working on GL, I'll take you through the process, how you can restrict, how you can have access to only your ledger based on the assignment. So we'll go through all these parts. But why we are able to see all these data access sets here? We assign 5 roles. Within those roles, we have a privileges to have access to all the roles, all the data access sets. That is the reason. So here RC is Google, right? Google USA primary ledger. Then say okay. Now we have to open the periods for our primary ledger for GL. You could see here system is selecting single ledger, that is Google USA primary ledger. The current period is March 2018. So what is the status of our current period? Never open. Right? We know the process how to open the periods in EBS release 12. In case of 11i, we have to open one by one period. In case of EBS release 12, we can open the first period, then we can open the target period. In between all the period system will open. The same logic is applicable here. So we'll see that. So the current period, March period status is never open. Just click on the period status. Just click on the period status. So system is showing in our accounting calendar the first period is John. Open first period, yes. We have to open the first period. Without opening the first period, we cannot open the current period. Okay, you should say okay. So this action will open the first period in our ledger. Do you want to continue? Say yes. Your process request has been submitted. You can go to ESS job page and you can see our system is running some job, but not required for us. You can just click on refresh icon, so it will update the period status. You could see the John period is open. Here the status is open. The Feb period status is future enterable. How system is taking February as a future enterable period? In the ledger option, system is taking the default future enterable period is 1. So if you provide 2 over there, Feb and March will become future enterable, right? So here you can see the status for the periods: open, closed, permanently closed, future enterable. Whatever the statuses you can see in EVS for GL period, same status you can see. Now we opened the period called as John, but our current period is March. Okay, so we have to open the March period. So for that, what we can do is you can go to the actions, click on actions, and here we have open target period, or else you can open one by one also. How you can open? Select Feb and click on open period, then February will be open. Then system will display March month as a future enterable, that you can select again, click on open period. This is how you can open one by one. Otherwise you can go with the actions. Here we have an option called as open target period. So which period we want to open? March 2018. So March 18, select, then click on open. Just say yes. Click on refresh. It will open the periods up to March. Okay, John is first period, target period we given as March, so Feb and March it is open. The next April period is future enterable. So this is how we can open the periods. So when you open the period or when you close the period, you can just communicate with your GL team members or other team members within the application. Social network also available. Oracle developed Oracle social networking. So within your team you can have a communication. Okay, that will discuss later. At this point of time that is not required. I'll take you through the process how we can use the social networking feature within the application. Say for example you created an invoice with say 1 crore that you want to communicate with the other team members. Simply you can share that invoice with other team members within the social networking, which is available within the Fusion applications. So they'll come to know. You may pass the message, you can share that invoice I created, I request you guys not to select this invoice for payment. That communication you may pass on. Before that anyway you may set a hold on that invoice if you want to restrict. Just any sort of communication, or else you can keep in touch with your payables team members related to period closing process or issue with any invoice. So that's how just we can use a social networking functionality within the application to have a communication within the team members within the Fusion application. We'll discuss it. I'll take you through that, how that can be used, how you can create the groups, how you can send the message to specific person, how you use the Facebook. Similar social networking functionalities available in this application itself. Okay, now the target is opening the period. Yes, we opened. Click on done. Okay, now you can see the general ledger current period status is open. Done. Now we'll go and create the journal just for our understanding. Okay, we'll just go and create the journal. We'll create journal and we'll post it so that we can make sure that our ledger is working fine. Then we can start with the our enterprise structure definition. And first we'll start with the payables, then P2P, and rest of application also will be covering. Okay, just be done with this. Open periods. Now we'll see how to create the journal and post it. So here we have a journals. So general accounting dashboard, basically the full name, journals and period close. The same you can see find from the navigator. If you go to navigator under general accounting journals and period close, we selected period close, and here itself system is showing these two also. If you notice, journals and general accounting dashboard also showing. If you want to create journals, you can click on this journals, or else from here also you can take the navigation, will be landing on the same page. Say we want to create the journal, just click on journals task. It will take us to journals work area. Okay, so that means here we have a three tasks. Okay, general accounting dashboard, journals and period close. If you click on journals, okay, it will take you to the journal creation pages. And again, if you want to open or close the periods, again you need to come back to this navigator to select period close or journal accounting. So once you click on journals, these three are under same title. So these three would get displayed on the same page on the top here. Now we are under, you can switch from one task to another task within the same page. If you are in period close, you can go to journals, you can go to general accounting dashboard. This is how you can switch from one to another task, because these three tasks are available under same title. Okay, fine. General accounting dashboard, journals, period close. So I'm just selecting journals, and this you can minimize. Here we have minimize, just collapse icon. Just, you can click on that. We selected journals, so only journals will show. So if you want to save the space above, you can do that. Now you want to go to period close. Instead of going to navigator and do period close, what you can do is here you can expand it. From here you can switch to period close. Okay, done. So this is how you can switch from one task to another task. Fine. It seems it's already 9:30. Better we can just do this activity in the tomorrow session. We will be discussing a few other points, and we'll see how to set the profile options also. Those points also will be discussing as a part of journal creation. So it may take 10 to 15 minutes time. So now it's already 9:30 as per our class schedules. The session should run from 8 to 9:30 only. So we can wind up for today. We'll continue from here tomorrow session. In tomorrow session we'll see the journal creation, and then we can start with the enterprise structure definition. We'll just see how to create the business unit, how to set relevant configuration. We'll more focus on payables configuration. So any questions from anyone, please, on today's session or previous classes, or which is related to this course. So any questions from anyone, please. So we're done with the session. If you want to leave the session, just you can go ahead, and just I'll be available here for to answer your questions if anybody has questions. Okay, we're done with the session. Okay, thank you.
Lakshman, we have auto provision for the time of creation user.
Can you repeat your question?
The auto provision, the time of creation user. You mentioned that you will discuss later.
Yeah, later. Yes, definitely. We'll do that at the time of employee user creation. I'll be discussing. Okay, there will come across with the scenario case. There you will have that relevant criteria where you can use that auto provisioning. It's very simple. It's condition. You can write in the system. If you create any employee, automatically say 5 roles need to be assigned. 5 roles. So whenever you create the employee user, automatically system will assign 5 roles. That's all. Or if you create one user with the finance department, say 2 roles need to be assigned automatically. That only we call as auto provisioning. I'll show you that. I'll take you through that. I'll define and I'll show you the result also. You can understand.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So any questions from anyone, please? So when we work on the instance, if you have instance related issues, okay, if you are not able to connect to the instance, or when we are working on the instance, if you have some issues with the instance, or if you have issue with videos access, okay, will be normally we share Google Drive access with everyone. If you have some issue with that Google Drive access, so these reasons, okay, if these are the issues, please drop a mail on this erp3.com@gmail.com, please. Any other issues, you can talk to the team. And instance related and video access related issues, you please contact on this mail ID. I'll be accessing this ID so that I can respond as soon as possible. Any questions from anyone, please?
Hi, this is Pawan here.
Yeah, Pawan, please.
Yeah, this is my first session. Did I miss a lot of classes, or can I
So
start from here? Or?
before that, I want to check, do you have EBS experience?
I understand the data flow.
No.
I don't work on
You
that.
have some at least knowledge, good knowledge or experience. If you have a experience or good knowledge, then I can say you didn't miss much. So hardly we completed primary ledger creation. When you see throughout this system practice, just we created a primary ledger. Before that, we created a project, which is a 5 minutes task. Primary ledger project we created and the primary ledger we created. So prior to that, what are the sessions we had? It's all about theoretically we discussed few points to understand before getting to the application. If you have EBS knowledge or experience, simply you can go through those videos and you can catch what we are going to discuss in the further sessions. But if you don't have EBS knowledge or experience, just first of all, we don't recommend this course also. Basically EBS knowledge or experience is recommended to do this course. Reason here, we are not going to discuss from scratch. We are not going to discuss what is the meaning of journal, what is the meaning of invoice, what does it mean by supplier, customer. These points we are not going to discuss. So these classes only for the guys who has knowledge or experience on EBS.
Okay.
Yeah. So any other questions from anyone, please?
Lakshman, this is V.
Hi, Lakshman.
Yeah. Yeah, Pawan, please. Pawan or somebody speaking.
Yes, Lakshman. Myself, Pawan. I'm also new to the class. Today was my first session.
Okay.
So I have a doubt here, Lakshman.
Yeah, please.
So I don't have a EBS knowledge. Currently, I'm working under banking and financial side.
Okay.
So my cousin only, he's also one of the manager in UOCs. So he only suggested me to do the course.
Okay. Just 1 second.
I don't have any, but I did MBA.
1 second, please. So seems to no questions. We can wind up for today. We'll connect tomorrow same time. Have a good day. Thank you all.